See how fast that goes by.
How many times you need a GoPro on a tree? The coverage couldn't spread.
Indeed, GoPro on a tree.
So that's how not to go cross country. Well, make sure you've got a well-packed reserve.
Yeah.
For a start.
Don't need to, that'd be all for me.
Okay. So they survived that. I think they were fine. Why? How do you think they got away with it?
Got a reserve.
Trees. Trees. If that had been the ground or cliff face or rocks, so the higher pack chap might have got away with it, but the one underneath probably wouldn't. So the trees probably broke their fall. So mid-airs, we've got to try and avoid them. The Southern Club, I believe there were 10 mid-airs in the country last year. Out of those 10, there were 7 here in the Southern Club. And I don't think it's happening when things are particularly busy. I think it's when when things are really busy, everybody's on it and really concentrating. I think it's happening when there's less people up in the air. We need to be sort of more cautious about this and make sure we're not having mid-airs. The paraglider's got to be doing 25 k's to be working, 25 k's an hour. Head-on closing speeds, 50 k's an hour. That's really fast. So we need to avoid having incidents. There was a trend for a while where we were sort of flying along, and it's a bit of one of these moments where people would put their arm out and steer. This is quite a good idea. I think we should try and do this in any of those situations. Like, that's where I'm going, and do it. None of this on the way. Yeah? Okay. The reserve throw. I'm not sure if that was a good move either. The guy's paraglide is working. That paraglide is probably bigger than in surface area than the reserve. Okay, you've taken out the forward element of the paraglider, but you've got less area.
I can add history to that. The person that actually did glide into the one person threw the reserve, the other didn't have a reserve.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mounting setup where she was a female that flew from a mountain nearby, and they collided, and on the collision you can hear her actually shouting, "Throw your reserve," because she didn't have one.
Yeah. I mean, had there been 2 reserves that, both of those got thrown, again, it could have got quite messy.
Yeah.
So, maybe not, I don't know. But yeah,
It's one of those strange questions.
If you're in the situation where you have this scenario, I think long and hard about throwing your reserve. You've got a glider wrapped up above your head, so throwing the reserve, you throw that, there's going to be another glider coming over here, lots of lines, stuff going on. Have a good think about it. It's going to have to be your decision, but yeah. Okay. So our hang glider, paraglider liaisons officer has sort of reported back that the hang gliding guys have sort of been mentioning that paragliders have been flying along, turning and then looking. I've probably been a bit guilty of that recently too, sort of initiating a turn and looking. They've got the problem even more than we have. They've got to be doing 25 miles an hour. If they're doing less than 25, they're a bit close to the stall. At 25, they've got very little control. They handle it. Their control is best at something like 30, 35 miles an hour. So at 25 miles an hour, they're flying along, quite close to the stall, trying to stay up, and a paraglider does a turn. The hang glider to turn, he's got to pull on a bit of speed, put in the turn, and push. that takes quite a lot of time when he's travelling at 25, 30 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour. You're doing 25 k's, closing speeds, it's all pretty quick. So, yeah, we've got to work on this. We've got to be more cautious. Find out how we're going to go around stopping this mid-air business. Yeah. What do you think? And your hand out, steering and turning.
Shout at people as well. Tell us what your intentions are if you said I'm going right.
I think shouting probably. I think the signal is better.
Put your phone.
Yeah. I mean, if you're shouting, it can fluster somebody. You've got wind noise, possibly a helmet on with ears. You might hear a bit of a noise. It's not really going to be, you're not really going to hear it, are you? I mean, if you think about it, a mid-air scenario is starting where that sign is, really, isn't it? You've got the head on where the Sussex sign is. It's like, oh, that's got my attention. At the building, it's like something's got to happen pretty soon. You've got a couple of seconds. Shouting at that distance, helmet on, wind noise, probably not going to hear it. Because it's like, okay, oh, I'm turning right.
You've got to show your intentions. I think that's it. Indicating first. An arm, but if you're turning, you've got to look where you're going. If you're weight shifting properly, that's a good indicator for the people to see that you're going to turn. Show your intentions. If you're head on a ridge line, you've got to show your priority. It's very easy to go, okay, the ridge is on my right, I'm just going to stay put. But if you've got a gap on your right hand side, take that opportunity to give it a little bit, go right, show your intentions that you have the ridge on your right, you've got some space to give the other person flying directly at you, probably a little bit scared or no air time, going, I don't know what to do, get a bit close. Seeing somebody taking the action first. Look where you want to go, weight shift, turn, it's an indicator. Your head turning, hard to have your blinkers on facing forwards, your head should be turning around like a gimbal. They're looking at absolutely everything. That's what's going to be good to look at.
Another thing is the amount of space that a paraglider takes up in the air. When we're outside, it's you don't realise how much space it's taking up. If you get it out in your garden, it's like I've got half of it out and the garden's full. It is the length of this room and easily the width of it. And there's at least two of you in the mid-air taking up that sort of space. So there are 8 metres of line, 10 metres of span. So a lot of area. So it's times two, lots of area. Okay.
Yeah, it's a vertical separation that perhaps people forget. And I don't know but statistically how these 7 mid-airs occurred, but quite often, particularly in a third, people can come up at you very fast.
And again, it's all fine as long as we're all flying in the same direction. The closing speeds are next to nothing. As soon as you start turning and facing each other, time is quick. I've said this before, you've probably heard it. When you're driving around, come up to a roundabout and try and go around the roundabout without having touching your brakes. So you come up to the roundabout, you see the cars coming onto the roundabout, you can use your gears to slow down. Coming onto the roundabout, obviously don't go very practicing it, but practicing down through the gearbox, okay, into gear, slip in around the roundabout. Because you can't stop when you're flying. So you can't just go, no, stop, hold everything. You've got to keep moving. So it's the same when you're driving around. Try and drive around and practice by, mustn't use the brakes, can I go, yeah, and I can get in there, do it and get around.
On the hangy thing, I'm not particularly keen on flying with hangies. So if they're taking off on Devil's Dyke, if you let them take off, within a couple of beats, they're either up and out of the way, or if they're a red ribbon, they'll have done a couple of beats and be down. Either way, they'll be out of the airspace you're taking into. So if you give them a bit of time on takeoff, if they're going to launch, rather than just add another air balloon into their way, they're out of the way pretty quick. And then if you're thermaling with them, then remember they can't see you. They just assume they can't see you unless they're almost opposite you. They have far less sight than we do on hanging, so you just got to give them a wide berth.
Yeah. So when you're flying around with them thermaling, or with anybody, if you point yourself at the centre of the trailing edge, so you're behind a paraglider, and the rule of the Southern Club is if we're going to be thermaling, we're going to be going right. If you're in this quarter, so if Ellis is the paraglider, if I'm here, when he comes to the end and he starts to turn right, I'm in his way. So if I'm pointing myself at the centre of his trailing edge, or slightly to the left, I can't be in his way. Same with the hang glider. So they've got that pole that comes out the back of the hang glider, it's called a keel. If you're flying about with them, if you point at the keel, follow the keel around, you can't be in their way. Yeah, so you're thermaling with them, they'll go around and around in circles, just keep pointing at the keel. And if he's any good at flying his hang glider, you'll be climbing quite nicely. Okay. I think we've done safety enough there, Hugh.
Just say one thing. From a low airtime point of view, what I found is not so much people passing with importance, but when everyone's stopping down and there's one or two, maybe more, going the same direction, and if the ridge changes direction just very slightly, you can get really squeezed in. And everybody's following the rules and everybody's doing everything right, but you run out of space and you either land or you've got to push your way out. And I think there are times when the people further out are perhaps not aware of it.
Yeah.
And because they're thinking about themselves and generally looking to the right because that's what you need to keep waiting.
Okay. If you stand up and stand with this guy with the black shoes on, facing that way. If you can stand up, put yourself down and stand up. You can face the other way. Okay, tuck in. So we're going down the ridge, and like you say, all the vertical separation is coming down.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're going down the ridge. We'll step forward. Okay, so we're going to the point where we've got to turn around where the sofa is.
Okay.
I am a problem.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a problem. And it's for me to go, I am going to be a problem. We're going to get to the end of the ridge, and I'm stuck out here. Okay, you're going along the ridge thinking, okay, when we get to the end, he's going to want to turn. So if you're flying along here, again, you're kind of in his face when he's ready to turn. You know what he's going to do, that's what he's got to do at the end of the ridge, it's pretty obvious. So what you're going to do is get yourself close to the ridge, and pointing at the centre or the left-hand side of his trailing edge. So you can't be a problem. So we're all going along the ridge. It's now down to me to go, okay, I need to do something before we get to the end of the ridge. I've either got to come in and tuck in behind you and get centre, just inside the centre of your trailing edge, or I'm going to go, actually, there's another one in front of you, this is going to get busy, it's time to turn away now. And I go back up the ridge, do the turn, and deal with you guys coming back at me on the other way. So there are all sorts of bits of scenarios if this goes on, you know, it's
But then I've got
It's a chess match.
yeah, exactly. So you're going to come round. Then there you've got the other one. You come to the end of the ridge, you're turning around, he's coming at you, but oh, the ridge is on my right now.
I'd always go round because
Yeah.
he's that close.
Yeah. If he's that close, he'll tuck in behind and turn you round. And if he's got it right, he'll actually be somewhere where you can't possibly be unless you've stalled it or got something wrong. Yeah? So he's tucked in and he's somewhere where you can't actually physically get to. But you then come round and it's like, okay, we're now, 50 metres, 100 metres, whatever it may be, you're in a position now where actually I could go, I've got the ridge on the right. Or we're coming on the ridge and it's like, ooh, you've got to deal with that one as well, you've got to work out what you're going to do. So if you're going to do something, so I've got the ridge on the right, if I'm going to do something that's going to make him have to take evasive action, it's not right. You know, I might have the ridge on the right, but it's just bad manners. So okay, let him go past, and then slip in. Okay. Another problem is thermaling with other people. You're low air time, you're ridge soaring up and down the ridge. You may not even be aware of somebody there circling. You've got thermal there circling, and then you've got to try and join in with them. It's really courteous if you see them circling and ridge soaring, if you can go, actually this is going to be a problem in a minute, I'm going to be right where they want to be circling, I've got space, I'll just turn away sooner. And then when you get more experience, come and join in and get in amongst it. But if you can think, you've got to look ahead. I think motorcycle riders, they see it, they feel it. It's like, you know, they're looking so far ahead because they're expecting someone to pull out. You've got to be looking, not dealing with the situation here, you've got to deal with the situation here. No worries. So I gave out a leaflet earlier. Did you have a chance to read it? Okay, so it's written by Bruce Goldsmith, or yeah, he's supposed to have written it. It's brilliant. It sums up paragliding. You know, the buck stops in you. He's basically saying it's down to you. You know, we can't help. Somebody else isn't responsible for what you get up to. And if you want to get lots out of the sport, it's going to take a lot from you.
I have a question. It's a safety issue also. It's about us who try to fly cross country. Let's say that everyone is sitting on the hill, and then there's a bubble. Someone goes for that, and that's the first person who's supposed to go up, theoretically. And then behind that person, there's a line of other pilots. So when he starts turning, he doesn't have any other option. He will drop down because there's no space to turn. So what recommendation would you recommend in this type of situation? How should we fly?
It's a difficult one because you can't turn around and say you're not allowed to take off. Like, no, we're all allowed to take off. And yeah, you just got to suck it up, deal with it. So, you know, if you've gone forward, you've S backwards and forwards, yeah, the thermal's about here, you start your turn, there's a whole stream of other guys coming off. Well, then you've got to come round and you've got to work out the closing speeds. I mean, you're coming round. If they're the guys that they're coming off and they're feeling confident that they're going to get up in this, I'm taking it as a no win scenario, it's light conditions, they're confident that they think they're going to be coming in with it. Coming round, all they have to do, I mean, there's two options. He comes round the back of them and follows in the procession. Well, this guy's coming along, he sees the guy coming round, it's like, well, you've taken the incentive to lob off, you've found the thermal, well, let's give you a bit of room, let's give you a bit of space. You've taken the risk, you found it, we can all get up, let's be courteous. We'll brake left. And I just keep braking left until you come round. And again, show your intentions. So, you can see him coming, he is going to want to be where I am now in 3 seconds, 5 seconds time. So we'll move over to the left, and we can watch him coming around, watch him coming around, and as he comes around, point in and point at the centre, slightly left of his trailing edge. As soon as he comes around, back in behind him. Okay. Jack, do you want to jump up, Jolie? I want you to jog round and round in circles.
For no purpose, I don't think it was a good
Yeah.
Slightly bigger, so I mean that's quite a tight down. Jolie's he's trying to come in now, and I'm right in his face. So he's going to have to peel off. So I'm coming in now, right in your face. He's got to peel off before we have him in. So he's coming around. Okay, he's coming around. I can see he's coming around. I'm going to move over to the left. You keep coming, and now tuck in behind. And now I'm in the procession.
Quite short.
There's the next one.
Okay, go round.
So we're still in there. So how you come on, we're all jogging about, you're jogging, you've got to get in.
Close your
There you
eyes.
go. He's done it. Easy. So you see what I mean? So they're coming round, it's like he needs to be where I am now. If I carry on in my track, I am now going to be rude. I'm making him take evasive action. He's already set up. Yeah? He's taking the initiative, he's in the thermal, move out, moving left, and tuck in behind, slip in behind. Yeah, good question, thank you.
I mean, you wouldn't do it if you were walking. If you're in the middle of in London, you try to get in the tube, you wouldn't bash into somebody or walk in front of them. You'd follow them through. So, it's just pretty much common sense. At all costs, don't fucking hit someone.
Yeah. Or a roundabout, you've got 4 cars going around the roundabout in the inside lane, it's a double lane roundabout, they're driving round the roundabout, but I want to get in here at some point, I'm in the outside lane, so when there's a slot, you said give them a slot. Okay.
Cool. Alright. Good, we'll move on.
Yep. Go on to the good stuff.
I've got a list here, list of all the questions. So the first one is how to make it to 80. Give up paragliding. No? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
I think it comes back to the stuff that brings us. If we accept that the buck stops with us, then we're responsible for making it to 80. You know, luck's on our side. So what do we do to make sure that we can continue to fly next year? Do you have any ideas on that? What sort of things do we need to be asking ourselves, or ways to make sure that we're enjoying our flying and knowing our limits? Yeah.
When was the last time you had a kit shot?
Yeah. So making sure the kit's up to date. Yeah.
Doing regular SIVs.
Yeah.
Trying to keep current with stuff like that.
Yeah.
And keeping current with flying generally.
Yeah.
Not flying.
So how long does it take before you start feeling a bit rusty? If you've had a bit of a layoff, what sort of time?
A couple of weeks, half an hour.
Yeah. So within 2 or 3 weeks, you start to lose it. So what might you do to get yourself back into flying safely?
Ground handling.
Ground handling. Perfect.
You can't ground handle enough. If you can control the thing on the ground, you can do it in the air. It's easier in the air. You can practice most of the scenarios you need to on the ground. Tip that axis, put it in, pump it, let it go, maintain direction. Put some bags out on the ground. If you're up on the hill, find a bit of space, put a couple of bags out on the ground, and ground handle, figure of 8 ground them. It's like if you've got a broom and you put it on the palm of your hand, if it goes off to the right, you actually have to move right underneath it to get back underneath. Same with the paraglider. If it goes off to the right, people go, I want it to come this way and step that way and aggravate the situation. So if it's gone off to the right, you move right, steering and get back underneath it. Ground handling, lots of it.
Quickly, I don't know whether it's for now or not, but ground handling, particularly when you glider down with strong wind, I mean that puts me off flying with strong wind. With one mistake and you're off.
I think something like that, you're probably better off like actually doing some tuition on the hill with someone, because it's hard to give advice, not seeing you ground handling and what you're doing well and what you need to work on. But yeah, that's definitely
So I see
something.
Mark come in, and it wasn't a particularly strong day, but it seemed like your technique was in fast, and then still running and putting the brakes down as far as you can get them, rather than trying to back one side.
I would like to give specific with other pilots, then get them, get learning with them and see what works for
Whatever the
your
rear
wing.
are, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Should you go for what time to leave the hill and why?
Yeah.
Bit of that? Okay.
Stick around for more questions.
Okay, yeah. That's nice of you.
I'll get that too.
Okay, you get it. So, I think you can widen that out and go, well, what works in this sport generally? Seizing opportunities generally works. So if you see an opportunity and it feels right and it's safe, go for it. Does that answer the question? I mean, we can open up a little bit more because.
Rephrase it. When would you pass up on a half decent firm on the basis that alright, I know the day's going to develop and it's going to get easier as time goes by?
So yesterday we were on the hill and at Selsley Common, and there was about 25 pilots there, and half of us were ready and took off at 11:30 and climbed out and went. That was the only therm of the day. So every hill is different. Selsley is particularly fickle. We knew the wind was going to get lighter. I knew that local pilots were desperate to just catch the first therm. That's why they were all, normally Wayne Stevens doesn't go to bed till 10, and he's smoking 6 cigarettes before, he's very relaxed. But he was on the hill, so I knew, okay, so this is the kind of hill where you have to be ready. If an opportunity comes through, then yeah. It depends what your picture of the day is as well. So if you've looked at the day on RAS, has everyone seen the forecasting video we did?
Yeah. So if you're looking at graphs when you're checking out, you've got a picture in your mind about what kind of day it's going to be. That will help inform your decision as well.
I would say, looking at the day, if it's early in the day or early for the day. So, for example, let's say we had a weather front gone through and it's going through at sort of 9 o'clock. It's been raining at 8 o'clock. The day isn't going to start at 10. It's probably going to start at 11 or 12 o'clock. So have an idea of what you think the day is going to be. Okay, it's going to start getting on really on late morning, or it's going to be on reasonably early. So you're at the hill, 9:30, 10 o'clock. You know, it's a good forecast, but it's totally blue. So okay, get yourself ready, get yourself clipped in. At least I'm ready. You know, if you're having a wee or a chat with somebody, or somebody's come over to talk to you, it's like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be unsociable, but I'm here to fly. Let's have a chat afterwards. So I want to be ready when the cycle comes through. I want to be clipped in. If you're clipping in when Hugh's climbing out, it's too bloody late.
Not that I've ever had that before.
Okay.
I think the other thing is, if you see someone getting ready to fly, don't interrupt them. If you interrupt them when they're doing their pre-flight checks or their routine,
have you got any sunblock?
just don't do it. Let someone get ready before they, because otherwise, you know, they might forget something that's really important.
So work out what you think the day's going to be. So it's soarable. You've gone to the hill. You've taken off. You're flying about. It's 9:30, 10 o'clock. You're starting to get a climb. It's sort of okay. You're getting up to 1,500 feet. You look over the back, and it's totally blue. What you don't want to do is land at 6 k's over the back, because it'll take you a good hour to get back, I would think. You've landed at 6 k's over the back. The day's really starting to develop now, and everybody that's waited a bit longer is flying over your head. So, looking at the day, thinking, actually, yeah, I think it's going to get better. If you're here in Sussex, the sea breeze is not showing itself at all, or it is showing itself. So it's all sorts of variables. Sea breeze are coming in. Actually, I don't think this is all. There's more cloud building up. There's a few cumulus behind. Yeah, I think this is probably as good as it gets. If you can go with other people, that really helps as well. You know, if you're on your own, there's only one person looking.
Yeah.
You've got a whole load of other people, then you've got loads more people looking.
If you look at the quality of the day, this is quite. So this is like time, and then that's height, strength of climb here. This is the flight from Graham a couple of weeks ago. We started at about 12, landed at 6. I think generally, if you look at XC League tracks for cross country flights, they generally follow this pattern. The first couple of hours, base is lower, and then that's at 12 till 2, 2:30. 3 o'clock it starts to get a lot better till 5 o'clock. So lots of strong climbs at a higher base. It's now 6,000 feet. It's gone from 4.5 to 6. And then the last bit of the day, some slower climbs, long glides. So between sort of 4 and 6 o'clock, the day actually gets easier. Things are more consolidated. It's more solid and consistent. Clouds don't really work. So that sort of should be factoring into your decision making as well about when to leave the hill. Because if you're inland and there's some wind and you know it's going to get better, then leaving at 11 is obviously, leaving at 12, 1 o'clock is going to be a safer bet. That's sort of a bit of a sort of unfairness of long distance flying as well, because it actually gets easier the longer the day goes on. So if you're landing at 3 o'clock, you're actually missing out on the quality hours of flying when things get easier. So
the best thermals are an hour after the maximum heating of the sun. So maximum heating is what? 3 o'clock? 2 o'clock? 3 o'clock?
I'm surprised it's that late.
Well, if you look at we've just had a really hot spell. When has it been hottest?
back to
3 or 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So best thermals are going to be from 3 o'clock onwards, I'd say.
Yeah, great. Yeah, really.
Yeah. So it's going to get better as the day goes on. We did a cross country yesterday. Yesterday we left the hill reasonably early, 11:30, and I nearly went down. Like, really low within the first hour. It's like, what are you doing? You're not making these schoolboy mistakes. It's like, it's early, and I'm down at 1,000 feet, where all the mates are up there, mincing away in after 1 ups, and I've stuck my neck out because there's a sail plane over there. It's like, fuck, I'm now low. They're all, And you want to be at 3,000 feet early on in the day working a one up or a half up. You don't want to be at 1,000 feet in a one up or half up, mincing about 1,000 feet. At 1,000 feet, your search capability is about 45 degrees. So at 1,000 feet, I mean, the likelihood of getting a climb beneath 500 feet that's going to get you up again, it's doable. But I've been flying, I don't know, 20 odd years. The amount of climbs that you get from below 500 feet to get you back up again, maybe one a year, a couple of years, it's not, it is not regular. So you've got 45 degrees at 1,000 feet for your search capability. You don't want to be in that position. You've exposed yourself to the danger of going down. You want to minimise that exposure. So at 11:30, you want to be cagey. You want to be winding your neck in and being sensible and staying high. At 3 o'clock, okay, we can start sticking our neck out a bit. And doing the longer climbs and the longer glides. So the track log to start with is all squiggly, and then it gets better later.
From sort of earlier airtime to lower airtime pilots' perspective, does that help, or is there something else that we can be helpful with? Is that okay? Okay. What next? Let's do.
Hugh,
Yes.
So question.
I've already done that bit. Do that.
You've got too many questions.
I'm very curious, you're two top pilots in this country. Come on, guys. There's a lot of not many opportunities to ask. So, what's especially for the low-time pilots? What would you recommend? What type of technique in order to survive if it happens that they take off after, let's say, 11:30, because they want to follow stars like you? So, what they can do to stay and survive till 12:01 when the vaccine is becoming easy?
Okay. So, well, one of the really key bits of advice that stuck with me when I started was, if it's a 1 metre per second climb all the way around, then just stay with it. Because if it's 1 metre per second in the UK, it will very 95% chance of getting to base. So that's just a nice simple thing. Another one is, if you see two things blowing towards each other, then something's going up. So something's drawing up. It's a case of survival, isn't it? So thinking positively and minimising your chances of going down.
So when you get to the cloud base, it's 11:30. What do you do? Do you drift with the clouds?
It's very difficult. I think this is the other thing about the more you fly, the more you realise how little you know, and every day is different. So the three different XC days of the last 3 weeks have been totally different. So a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, Roger and I were flying, and we would fly to clouds and they wouldn't work. Clouds weren't working. Milky bits were early on. So, and then yesterday was totally different. Last week was a classic day. Everything worked that you thought would work. So it's very hard to give set answers as to what to do. But what you can do is try and build your own opinion of what is happening during the day, based on what you found out yourself the night before from the forecast, based on what you felt in the past, based on the climb out. So if the climb out is a metre per second climb, you're unlikely to get anything stronger further down, because presumably you've taken off on a hill that faces into wind. It's probably quite a reliable thermal source. So it's just building a picture in your own mind, so that you've got some kind of a reference point. So if you're going off downwind with no reference point, then you've got nothing to work off. It's a sort of a visual picture of what you're expecting and why.
And where are you at with your flying? Are you going out on a day that's going to be a classic day, an epic day, and your plan is to do 150 kilometres or a big cross country? If you're going to be doing a big cross country, then you've got the catch-22. You can't hang about. But if you're reasonably low airtime and 50 k's would be great, and it's 11:30 in the morning, then you'll be cagey. 11:30 in the morning, I climbed to cloud base. Cloud base is at 3,500 feet, and the climb was a metre a second to cloud base. Right, okay, I want to do 50 k's, or if I go a bit more than 50 k's, that's going to be absolutely mustard. So why not stick with the cloud? So you climbed up under the cloud, you're at cloud base, you move off downwind until the sync dies off, you turn around, you come back to the cloud and climb up to it. It's only going to happen it's only going to work for a certain amount of time. And as soon as that stops topping you back up again, each time you come to the edge of the climb, you'll be coming down, you'll be looking downwind. So you know roughly which direction you're going to go in, where the clouds are. You come back, okay, that last time it didn't work, or you've come back and it's much weaker this time. Alright, so we'll see if we can get this one back up to base and probably forget about this one. And I've had a look whilst I've gone downwind as to which kind of direction was looking nice. A bit blue over there, nice cumulus over there. Time to go for your next glide. Whereas if you're thinking you want to be doing, 100 kilometres and the wind is light, then you've climbed the cloud base, you need to set off. You've got to keep moving, but do it in a sort of cagey fashion to start with. If you've got other pilots with you, know who they are. It's a little fat stumpy glider. Okay, you're probably not.
That's no way to talk about Andy.
Yeah, it's a little fat stumpy glider. He ain't all that, is he?
Of the day and building that picture as the day goes on, and realising how the day is developing and changing your flight. Don't always fly the same way.
Yeah.
I think that's, for me, certainly having that picture of the day and think, like you say, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, you're up at cloud base and maybe just, unless you're really going, just be a bit more cagey. As the day goes on, you can push a bit more and go for the longer glides and stuff like that. That's definitely for me is good stuff to remember.
I like your simple rules of thumb. Like 45 degrees as a search plan.
Yeah.
Come across that one, so that's really useful.
Yeah, if you're down low, it's not much distance at all, is it?
Yeah.
It's a kilometre of where you are. So, but if you're at 5k, it's like, okay, I've got 7k's to search.
How about if you're heading back towards the hill, the wind's going that way, you're going with the wind, and the feather comes this way. Would you ever turn back?
Try and catch it.
The feather's always going to go that way.
Or something is going that way. The whole.
It's always going to be going that way because you're moving.
I know. But.
Or if it's
Or
going
say-
that way.
Say it's
Yeah, well, it's going to be that way. I would go and I'd definitely have a chase of a plastic bag or a bit of corn on the cob. Yeah. Cows. Yeah, I mean anything that's really. I mean a feather, no. A seed pod, no. I wouldn't really chase that. If it's gone past you, it's gone to that sort of areas and leaps. No. But something, I mean, paper bags. You sometimes see those going, or plastic bags. It's like, oh, we're definitely going to have a look at that. Yeah. And again, if it's a plastic bag, you can probably see it far enough off, and you can see it coming up. But
nothing too light.
no.
Anything else? I was going to say, just maybe learning when I think sometimes you feel like, oh, this is rubbish, there's nothing left. Ryan had this earlier on this year when he did his first little at sea and he broke it off, despite the fact he was still in lift, on the basis that the various hardly making any noise, it was doing the odd blip. He didn't realise that he was actually still in lift and he could have carried on flying the zeros for ages, but chose to land because he thought he'd finished.
The day's never finished. Okay, expect the unexpected. That bit of paper, there are no rules. If you make rules, then we will be proved wrong. The amount of times we've been in a competition, we go to a site, it's like, oh, you don't go down that valley, it's the valley of death, there's no thermals there. The competition takes off, that's the first place they go because that's the shortest line. Oh, there are thermals there. The local said they're not. There are no rules. Okay, whatever, anything's possible. So if you're in a zero, I mean, if it's late in the day, it could be the last climb that you're going to get. Stay with it. If you're, 1,500 feet and you're in a zero, you've got time. So okay, I haven't got to, I haven't got brain race like, where am I going to get the next climb? It's like I'm in a zero. So everything's cool. Right, what's happening with the clouds? I want to kind of go in that direction. Is there anything over there? There's a cloud. Okay, we'll do a few 360s. No, that cloud's got smaller. Okay, it's not ideal. You've got time. You can, okay, stubble field that's been cut, end of the season. Yeah, it's not bad. But there's 4 of them over there and a bit of a wood. I like the look of that. Whereas if you've left your zero, because you haven't got time to do all of that, you can spend 5 minutes in your zero assessing what's going to happen next. Cool.
Anything else that's stuck with you? Okay. Right, should we move on? Let's move on. Okay, so yeah, the next tips on getting away from Devil's Dyke in a northerly wind. So Devil's Dyke faces north or northwest, and if it's a northerly wind, obviously the sea is 5 k's behind you. So the question is, how do you get yourself crosswind? Okay, so based on what we've talked about so far,
don't go to the dike, go to Coombe.
Okay. Based on what we've talked about so far, you will have to do some crosswinding for airspace or the sea or whatever. So how do you think you need to adjust the way you fly to make it crosswind? What are you going to have to do differently?
The problem I had was like, I was in a zero, which I'd be happy in if I was flying from Coombe, but it's just taking me to the sea.
Yeah.
So
how are you going to have to adjust how you fly?
Well, I guess you're trying to only take good things, but if you don't find any good things, then it has to help you on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're going to have to fly kind of more decisively.
Yeah.
You have to say, what sort of a climb would you need? Let's say it's just maths, isn't it? Let's say the wind's 10 to 50 miles an hour northerly. What sort of a climb do you need to get up so that you're actually going to make progress crosswind?
5
How
minutes.
strong? They've got to answer. What's going to work?
Get it right.
And why?
It has to be strong.
it.
It has to be strong to get height.
Yeah.
You need as much height as you possibly can to go crosswind.
You need to be punching through the gradient, right, to get the height. So every kilometre downwind, you want to be, at least a kilometre upwind. So, yeah. Does that make sense?
I would say, again, you've got the wrong hill, or you're going to go to the dike and it's northerly. It's a day for training. Go cross country from the dike in a semi-breezy northerly. Forget it. So you just
Was there an out return
on Saturday? On Saturday, it's quite strict. On a flying on Saturday, it's quite a strong northwesterly wind, and somebody asked me, quite an experienced pilot said, "Where are you setting goal for?" Margate. And I thought, really? I mean, Margate is sort of north of due east, so getting to Margate in the northwest, strong northwest, is impossible. Very, very difficult. So again, having an idea about what the forecast is and what's achievable. Crosswinding has its limitations, obviously.
But there are no rules. So it's a fluid thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You say choose it as a training day.
Just go
So that's another thing, practicing. It's not every day is, I need to go at sea. You're not going to have a forecast all the time to go at sea, are you?
Yeah. I mean, how many good days do we get a year? This is the reason we cancelled the tour, because the last 2 Mondays were 2 of probably the best days of the year. It's now July, we've got 6 to 8 weeks left of the season. It's a very, very short season. It might start feeling long now, but in January, February, it feels very, very short. So, obviously, being able to be flexible with work and other stuff really does help a lot. And that's not easy at all.
You reckon 6 to 8 weeks of the season?
Well, when I say 6 to 8 weeks, I mean September.
Fancy September.
September, you get odd good days, but it's dwindling off. Yeah, I mean someone flew 180 k's in 20th of September last year, so yeah, obviously it's still possible, but it's quite rare.
Global warming will cure that.
What next? Should we do a bit on fear? So what was the question? Psychology of fear. Who asked the question about fear? I can't remember. Or mental
fear as well.
Mental preparation.
Okay.
When's it too spicy was one I asked as well.
Okay. So how many of us get scared when flying? Nearly everyone? Okay. Why do we get scared when we're flying?
Because it's scary.
Because it's dangerous, and it's actually not a bad thing. In my day job, I work as a psychological therapist with the council, and I did a training with the NHS recently, and they sort of talked a little bit about how to help people with anxiety. There's a sort of set process of helping with extreme anxiety. And anxiety and fear are the same thing. It's all. So I talk a little bit about that so you understand where it comes from, and then we can talk about how we work with it. So there's a bit of your brain, the amygdala, right in the middle, which is kind of the oldest bit of the brain in terms of evolution, something that animals, humans, reptiles, we all have. And it's there basically to keep us alive. It provokes 3 responses: fight, flight, or freeze. They're the only 3 responses it triggers, and it kicks in whenever we're in danger. So you get, what happens when you get really scared? How do you feel? How do you know that you're scared? Heart rate goes up, yeah. Hands are shaking.
You scream.
Scream, yeah.
Make use of your brown corduroy trousers and so on.
Yeah. Yeah, shit yourself. It's all very basic physiological stuff, right? It's there, it's to get you moving, to get you taking action. Unfortunately, because of the way we're wired, it doesn't get you thinking. In fact, it does the opposite. The more fear you have, the stronger the amygdala response, the more cortisol and chemicals rushing out your brain, the less you're able to think. And you actually think slower than your action kicks in. So it's worth thinking about that. If you're if this is fear, you see that, and that's time, and you're sort of peaking up to here, then the higher the level of anxiety or fear, the less thinking space you have. And when we're flying, we really want to be making sure we've got a bit of thinking space, right? So that if we do get scared, which may happen if we get a collapse or we fly into areas that we're not sure about, then we've still got a bit of thinking space. So how can we help get used to that feeling of being scared? So I've got any ideas about that, so that it becomes a process that we can kind of manage and respond to in the right way rather than freezing.
SIV.
Yeah.
Small steps.
SIV, small steps. So who's done an SIV course and been properly scared?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've done it for real.
Okay. So the first time you did an SIV course, you're properly scared. And actually every time you go up on the bus, you're properly scared. But the next year you go, you know the drill, you know you survived, and hopefully you get used to the fear, you get to know that you survived the experience, and that the peak goes down. Do you agree with that? If you're flying the same wing? Yeah? So,
I'm just as scared every time I do SIV.
Okay.
I'm 4, I'm a slow learner.
How often do you go?
Back for more.
Oh yeah, but you do more each time, so you feel just as scared of doing
More scary stuff.
You're doing spins and stalls instead.
And those.
Okay.
Pushing around it.
The fear's still there though.
Yeah, and it should be. You're right. But if you're doing more manoeuvres, then they're provoking the peak. So, and that's the way a progressive course should run. Is that you should be building it up slowly so that you're not completely overwhelmed. You still have thinking space to think about what you're doing during the manoeuvre and recording it. Okay, so yeah, an SIV course, because it's scary, is a very useful thing because you're learning what's happening with your wing when you're completely wired, and that's the situation you're going to be in for real. So the more you can do of those, then it should bring the peak down.
Best thing I've found is breathing. Because I found that my anxiety level actually increased. I look back fondly to my days on A, and I thought it was a solid thing that would never collapse. And then I got progressively spicier wings and had collapses more and more often actually. And then went on an SIV course, and it was like my sort of baseline anxiety whilst flying just increased. Felt like there was sort of PTSD. There was kind of an amount of fear that just was hardwired into the system, and I'm still sort of working through that. But the best way I've found to manage it up in the air is to remember to breathe, because one of the most immediate responses is to hold your breath, which is an anxiety response. Deep breaths, like 3 deep breaths, and that really helps you kind of start thinking again. It just brings the heart rate down.
What about shouting at your wing?
I think, yeah, shouting. Any other ideas?
Singing.
Singing, yeah.
Talking to myself.
Before I get too scared.
Talking to yourself, yeah.
eating, drinking.
Yeah.
Having a cup of tea.
Trying to be rational, ask rational questions. Are the conditions going to be? Is it is it dangerous, or is it just me being a bit, not feeling on it today? Like, ask the question: are the conditions likely to be detrimental to my health? It's a straight question. It's like yes or no. No. Okay. Well, let's be rational about this. Okay, it's not that bad. Pull yourself together and get on with it. Or yeah, this is it's bloody dangerous.
Yeah, because sometimes you are frightened with bloody good cause.
Yes.
Then it's
time to land.
It's the kind of rational, irrational fear.
Yeah.
The most important thing,
because I can't land.
Whatever you're doing, make sure you're fighting or doing something not freezing. So if you're breathing to keep your physiology regulated, or you're shouting, or you're flying the wing more actively, you're doing something. You're not doing nothing. And I think Judy Len wrote about that, and she's been hang gliding for years. She said that when she was being brought up, she was pushed always to sort herself out. So if she was building a raft, and her parents would rescue her if things went wrong, she'd have to sort herself out. So she learned that to cope by herself quite early on. And some of us can't do that as well. And I'd say if you're flying and you're the sort of person where when shit hits the fan, you just freeze, and you see it on you see it on YouTube videos where pilots are spiraling out of control and they're doing nothing. Well, they might have frozen, they might have then blacked out, but if that is in your temperament, then this might not be the best sport for you. Full stop. That's just how it is. Because
you're saying about not being able to get down, so it's almost like your brain's done that. It's like, and it can't think properly because it's done that. Whereas the breathe or the hang on a minute. Okay, yeah, it's pretty lifty. Okay, well, we don't have to panic too much about this. We fly in a straight line.
Yeah.
We should come out of the lift. Like, calm down. It's like, you don't have to go, ah! Yeah, it's like, it's pretty lifty. Yeah.
Partly it's also the technical thing that I've not learned competent fast descent techniques, particularly spiral.
Yeah,
so if I'm in that situation, worried about getting down.
You've got it wrong if you need to be doing that. Yeah. We do it, it happens. I did it a year ago and sort of freaked myself out, and like, didn't really enjoy it. It wasn't good. But yeah, so you're climbing up. It's like, okay, there's some really big clouds about, and the climbs are really strong. Leave with good time. If they're 2 kilometres across and the climbs are 2 metres a second, you want to be leaving at least 500 foot. It's like you're going to get sucked up as you go. You could leave at 600 foot and go. I found the edge. Okay, I'm not a cloud base. I can go back. At least you found the edge. Whereas if you go, nice climb, and then you find yourself, there's cloud base. 2 meters a second. It's like, I'm sure enough we left it a bit late. So, it's like, okay, this is going well. It's 2 Ks across.
So, there's Kelly Farina's got. Have you heard of the 45-degree rule?
Yeah.
So, someone will explain that.
Try to keep the edge of the cloud like at 45 degrees, right? Yeah. If it's less angle than that, then it's hard to escape.
Yeah. So that's basically your wingtip. So if the cloud's beyond your wingtip by the side, then start getting to the side. Okay.
You said that if you have that freeze response, it's not sport for you. Is that because that's hot wired into your brain and that's what you'll do all the time? Is that trainable?
No, I think it's trainable, but it's habitual. That response is quite habit forming, and like with Dickon, if you have a scary incident and you're going to get more panicky because God bless fear, it's there to help you out. This is dangerous, it's a good thing. But if you're tending to freeze because that's what you're used to doing, then learning about that on SIV is going to be really, really important, and seeing if it's workable through or not. Yeah.
I would say it's, in my early days, while I was actually during training, and I actually count this as a freeze thinking about it. I had one hell of a climb at Caburn. It scared the crap out of me. It's like one hell of an elevator ride, and when I was in control, it's because I counted it as a freeze. I remember trying to fly this way and that, trying to get out of the lifts, and all I did was just start faster and faster. And it got to the point I just suddenly relaxed and thought, well, none of this is working. I just seem to be going up, so let's just do something logical and fly off in one direction and see what happens. Before I knew it, I was out of the lift and back on the ground. I gave up on the trying to get out of it, going back to the pools. Realised effectively I guess it was a really crap Interesting enough, that also happened recently. I've been waiting years to do that again, but it happened again at Field Wells and it scared me again. That's why I went 4K. I thought, okay, that's enough for me. I'm going to land there.
But if the clouds are, 2Ks across and 3Ks high, then, it's like, well, the day's going to overdevelop and it's, it's not right, it's not good. But you've got a big thermal and you've got, lovely cumulus, flat topped,
Yeah.
We spend all this time, or a lot of us spend a lot of time trying to get up. And then one day it's like, this is going up a bit good. It's an unnatural feeling, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, flying, it's out there, man. It's not normal. But it's like this is going up really well. You fly off and go out the side and land, and then like a week later you think, what's that about? It's been the last 4 years.
No, that's what I should have done is stop messing about with it and just sit there like that and think, right, time to start 360 and establishing yourself in this and just relax into it. But I didn't, it screwed me up and I just had enough of that, I'm out of that.
So what's happened is your brain's done that.
Yes.
It's like done that, it's tightened up, it's screaming and it can't think properly. So whatever it is, deep breaths or it's like, hang on a minute, I'm prepping myself. Is there good reason for it?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I've spent quite a lot of time trying to get in this situation. Look up, the cloud isn't, there is no cloud, or it's not massive, or it actually.
It was actually a blue day, by the way.
there is no good reason to be prepping yourself. But I mean, the climb's not ridiculously rough; it's just going up. Yeah.
I think it was rough. I got a couple of collapses, but I think that's because, like I say, I think I froze and I was trying to sort of it when I thought, really, you should be doing that now, and it was horrible.
So, we're talking of freezing. Whether anyone's seen that is it Joe Parr video? This guy's flying his friend's wing and suddenly gets a collapse on one side, and the wing goes like that, and he pulled on the brakes. And he was just spiralling, going round and round, and he did nothing until he finally threw his reserve and ended up in the trees. And it was quite relevant to me because I've had that 2 or 3 times at Annecy. Really strong thermal, and I'm near the top, and I've got a collapse, and I haven't done that particularly on SIV, and the wing. It's got an asymmetric and the wing's gone like that. My first response is to, whoa, get some stability. And I've held it, and then all that's happened is the thing is stabilised. I'm going like that, round and round and round and round, until suddenly I've gone, okay, and let it up, and then it flies and everything's happy.
Yeah, so one of the things you do, have you done an SIV course?
I've only done 3 days with Flyo, and we only got benign asymmetrics.
Can you get into auto rotations?
No.
So auto rotations is when you collapse the wing and hold it into the point where you are, spiralling, and almost the central point of the spiral is between you and the wing.
That's kind of what I've had.
So you need to experience that and learn how to get out of it. So
yeah, well, as I say, it's happened 3-ish times where I've had quite a lot of height, and I've now, the last one, the presence of mind was to, it's happened a couple of times. Well, let it go.
So what do you think you could do differently when you get the collapse?
What would I do differently? Yeah. Now it's more a case of try and lean away from the collapse, and if it's gone on that side, try and get it out, even though you're going round.
How would you do that?
Opposite weight shift and a bit of brake, but
how much brake?
Not enough to stall it.
Okay.
Sure, I mean, it would be a case of try a bit and see what happens.
Okay. Sounds like you need to go on an SIV course to really learn how much brake you need to put in to reopen the collapse. Yeah. Yeah, because you should never be letting the wing do more than half a turn, really. Quarter of a turn.
I think I'm more than aware that I need to get on.
Why is that then? If you're sinking air, why should you use full speed or not?
Get out.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Does everyone get that?
Yeah, apart from when you're actually doing it, go, oh, sinking fast, try it for more. Okay.
Why would you get off the bar if you're sinking fast?
Because I'm thinking maybe I've got too much bar on, I might want to
Okay, so it's just wrong maths. The maths is wrong. The longer you're in sinking air, if you imagine you're on a push bike with a massive giant sat on your shoulders, the faster you pedal, the quicker you might come off. If you pedal really slowly to use less effort, you're going to get flattened. Yeah? You're the equivalent of riding a racing bike through the sky. You're doing 25, 30 miles an hour. Yeah? So it's like escaping a shower. The faster you can pedal, the quicker you'll get out of the shower.
If the air's making me sink, not the bar.
If you're not sure, let's let off the bar and have a look at your sink rate.
Well, that's what I do, yeah.
And your sink rate's probably as good as, it's like pretty similar to when it was on the bar.
Yeah.
So squeeze it on again.
Gets into a panic.
Yeah.
So gliding. So if you're gliding
downwind
and you're with other people,
gliding downwind.
Pretty
So
much.
how much speed to use? So how would speed to fly inform your answer to that?
Well, if you're in sync, still get on the bar.
Yeah. Does anyone else help about speed to fly and strength of thermals and how
If it's a
good
strong
the day
day,
is?
strong day, fly fast.
Yeah.
But if it's weak, you want to maintain preserve height with your sick rate.
It's the basics of it, yeah. So it comes back to your understanding of the day, what you think, what your guess is about what you're going to get.
what do you want from the day? Do you want to are you leaving the hill at 11:30 and it's a good day and you're going downwind and anything over 50 k is absolutely brilliant, or are you wanting to get 150 k's out of the day? So if you're wanting to get 50 out of the day, then he who glides slowest, as long as it's not sinking air, will glide the best, as long as it's downwind. Yeah. So if you're just wanting to stay up and get 50 k's, then I wouldn't use a lot of speed bar. Maybe an inch or so, just to speed things up a little bit on your glides. But if you're more advanced and you want to be going a longer distance, then you need to be using more speed bar. You'll have a glider that glides better at speed, so you can use it. It depends where you're at with your flying, I would say. If you're wanting big stuff out of a big day, you've got to glide quickly. If you just want to go a nice distance and stay up until the day's done and the distance is clocking on, then don't go too quickly, I would say.
You need something to glide towards as well.
Yeah.
There's no point being on full bar if you're gliding into nothing and you can't see anything.
Yeah.
Why would you be gliding into nothing?
You need to be gliding somewhere.
Well, if it's a blue day. So
Okay. So what makes a difference between something and nothing on a blue day?
Haze domes?
A good ground source, I guess, is what
Yeah.
I'm going for if there's no clouds.
Yeah, ground sources. So what's a good ground source on a blue day?
So upwind of it.
Something upwind of you. Got me there.
Just anything dark, really, isn't it?
Okay. What about the time of day? Does that make a difference on the ground source?
Yeah. Something facing the sun.
How would it make a difference? So facing the sun. Yeah.
Later in the day.
What works better earlier or later in the day?
Something at an angle like that.
Yeah.
So something's got the sun shining into it.
Directly onto it. Yeah. Okay.
Woodland later in the day.
Have you found that works?
Occasionally. It's not that reliable.
Right. What next?
Just on gliding, one of the things that we see a lot with people starting to go cross country is they start gliding and then decide where to go.
Mm-hmm.
Or they start gliding and go a little bit over there, and then a little bit over there, and then a little bit over there, and then a little bit over there, and
have you watched this today?
Shall I be quiet?
It's difficult because you should have conviction with your decision, but it doesn't mean your decision is absolutely right, because everything's changing all the time. So whilst you're climbing up, you know, you're avoiding your mate. You're making sure your mate's not out climbing you. If your mate's out climbing you, that's a sin. You know, so you're going up a bit quicker. You move over there. So you're avoiding collision with other people. You're trying to climb as best possible, and not being out climbed, and you're also thinking about where you're going to go next. If this climb goes, where am I going to go next? So those are your questions. So with climbing up, you've got to cloud base, or you've got halfway to cloud base. The hill's like, you're not getting back to the hill, you're going. You should have a rough idea where you're going to be going next. If it's at the dike, you'll be going left. You want to be gliding slightly to the left, really, because you want to try and keep away from the sea. Climbing up, so okay, that'll be the next cumulus that I'm going to, or that's where I think I'm going to go next. And then you're taking your glide and you're gliding towards it. So actually, that cumulus isn't what it was. It's got smaller. So where else am I going to go? That one over there looks to be growing. So you've got conviction with your, you know, I'm going to go that way, but oh, seagulls over there. Right, we'll have that.
Oh yeah, I'm not talking about people who make a conscious decision to change. I'm talking about just meandering.
Yeah, meandering is not so good, is it? Because you know, it's like you're doing your 7 kilometres on your glide, but over the same ground.
So one of the questions was about thermaling, thermaling at different heights? Something about thermaling, finding lifts. So that's ground level. That's 5,000 feet. This is an massively over-exaggerated illustration of what might happen with lift the higher you go. Being the width of the climb. So the higher you are, the wider it is, or the more smaller bubbles there are. So when you see sailplanes, you know, circling above 2,000 or 3,000 feet, you can see how big a thermal is compared with our turning ranges. So how might you adjust how you thermal low down compared with high up? Sorry? Tighter thermally low down, yeah. What might you do about searching for lift as well compared with down here and higher up?
Smaller range.
Much smaller range, yeah. So if you're low down, you've got a very small range than higher up. So how might you be flying if you hit like a half to 1 up at 4,000 feet and your last climb was a 3 up? What might you be thinking?
Keep it
doing?
flat.
Keep it flat. Long loops.
Or keep looking. Go somewhere else.
Keep looking. Yeah.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Just on the edge of it there.
I'm not saying it's definite, but I'm just sort of trying to get you to think about how climbs can be different low down to high up. Quite often, faster pilots will be looking for better stuff higher up. That's sort of the key difference. They won't be satisfied with a weaker climb.
Or different cores.
So how do you, let's say you hit a 0 to 1 up, how do you know where to look to find the stronger core?
Bigger circles.
Bigger circles?
If you're at 1,200 feet,
yeah,
and you come across a thermal, what do you do? You counter a bit of lift. How do you work?
I'll straight away do a 360. If I hit lift, I might be on bar, so I don't really know what's going on with the air because I'm flying quite quickly through it. So I'll hit lift and I'll immediately do a turn to kind of like mark my spot, like a dog kind of. Have a quick wee. Right, I'm here. So then once you've done that, I might then feel on the way round in the core where it's stronger and then open up that way. But I know that I've at least marked one spot. If I can't find anything quickly, then I'll really push on. But
okay, if I'm low down and I'm gliding along and I go into the thermal, what I quite often do is circle here and I fall out the back of it. I'm low down. I'm going to be cagey. I don't want, the thermal may only be a little bubble, about half the size of my 360. But I'm going along and I'm low, the various starts to bleep. I think I can probably get a 360 in now, being lift all the way around, so I'll put a 360 in. and quite often I'll probably drop out the back of it, and keep dropping out the back of it. And then what I'll do is I'll open up. I've fallen out the front of it now. So then I go back to here and try and centre it on here. So when I'm low down, it's mapping it, mentally mapping. Okay, we're opening up into wind or whichever, if it's downwind that you bumped into it. Just keep opening up just a little bit each time into where the lift has got stronger. I've fallen out the front of it. Okay, I know I've mapped it. It's behind me. And then centering on that. If I'm high, I come along, I'm gliding along, barrier starts to beep, I'll wait. Oh, I really want to turn.
Yeah.
I really want to turn. No, wait. Oh, it's got good. Here it is. Away you go. Because you're high, you can be a bit frivolous. It's like, gone out the other side of it. Okay, back. Or it just. This is the good bit here. It's really tempting when you're low air time to go, bling, 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 bling. I'll have that. And you're circling in the crap. The best bit's a bit further on. So open it up when you're low, or if you're not sure, or you're low, it's like, let's look. Okay, yeah, this is good. Or when you're high, like, that's where the good bit is, and away you go. Try and fly with other people. If you've got 3 people, you've got more chance of finding the lift. Don't set up one behind the other. It's like, what's the point in that? Set up slightly across from each other. The guy over there goes up, so we all get over there. Sometimes, I don't know if Hugh waits for me, but I wait for Hugh quite regularly. But you'll climb up and you get to cloud base. And if your mate's with you, or you've got a couple of other people with you, and they're within sort of 500 feet, it's been a good climb, they're coming up, wait for them a bit. Because if they come up, and then you can quickly go. If you're on radio with them, you can chat, say, well, I'm not quite sure, what do you think about